morning. You're watching Market Fatafat right here on ET Now. I'm Mubina Kapasi, and this is the show where we are going to count down to the big movers and shakers in trade. The Nifty, meantime, at this point of time, just about flitting between the red and the green. Again, there's been a bit of a spike, and we are back above 11,150. Let's first up introduce our analysts who are going to be joining in to flag off these movers and shakers. We have with us Soumya Sharma, ET Now's research analyst. Kunal Bothra joins in, and today we have with us Sumit Bukhari of Choice Broking on the technicals. Good morning to all of you. Thank you for joining in. And undoubtedly, the first stock we're going to flag off is the big news maker and the big rejig done for the consumption business by the Tata Group. Tata Chemicals today is a stock that's buzzing in trade, and take a look at the up move witnessed in Tata Global as well. Just as we speak, it's an 8% surge in the stock price. And on the back of this transaction, we're expecting several things. Firstly, of course, a focus in the foods business. Secondly, Tata Chemicals shareholder get an exposure to a brand new foods company. And thirdly, of course, the question being, will Tata succeed in the staples business this time around? Morgan Stanley has an underweight, as they say that the synergy benefits for this new company will accrue over 12 to 18 months, and that we should see some sort of EPS accretion going forward. Of course, watch out for shareholder dilution as well. That would be a key factor. Kunal, what is it that is catching your eye when it comes to the move seen in LIC housing?
One of the only stocks, Mubina, which I think is behaving in a slightly different fashion as compared to most of its peers. It's holding on to its support. Interestingly, the stock is also holding on to its 200-day moving average. And when you look at it over the time span of the last 9-10 months, I think from October or September 2018, the stock is now trying to adhere to a rising support trend line. This is the fourth or the fifth attempt. The stock has been taking support at that exact support of the trend line, which I think is around 475, 460 mark for the stock price. So I believe the stock holds on to this support this time around as well. It could be a case of a short-term rally for the stock, suggesting a buy with a target of 515 and stop loss at that 470 mark.
All right. Well, here's an ET Now exclusive. Jet Airways is a stock that's gaining today in trade, and sources suggest that in a last-ditch effort, lenders have again reached out to three parties which had submitted their EOIs in the first phase to see if any of them is interested in bidding individually or, along with Etihad. Utkarsh Chaturvedi joins in with more. Utkarsh.
As they say, desperate times call for desperate measures, and this is what we can see from the lenders. Now, what we have been told is that all the three parties except Etihad, who had put in the expression of interest, have now been approached by the lenders again to see whether there can be a situation which can be worked out in which they individually or they partner amongst themselves or they partner with Etihad can really put in the bid. Now, why such a move? Because remember that the other parties, the unsolicited parties which Jet is really meeting, they met Darwin Capital, where they'll be meeting Adi partner soon. All these parties do not really infuse a lot of confidence, and all the other parties who had put in the EOI, they are PE giants at this point of time, and they have the wherewithal to really invest that money. And with Etihad really being on the board, you'll have a strategic investor as well. So that is what the SBI is looking at. But if if nothing happens, as they say, they have started meeting unsolicited bidders, and everyone and anyone who has the money and who has the wherewithal to really take on Jet Airways and turn it around is welcome, or when it comes to the lenders of Jet Airways.
Thank you, Utkarsh, for that. The stock price of Jet Airways rebounding 4% higher. Sumit, today another stock is rebounding, and that is Tata Motors. So thank you, by the way, for joining in on the show, and tell us what would you recommend based on the immense choppiness that we've seen in the stock price of Tata Motors in the recent past.
Hi, good morning. See, Tata Motors has given a correction in last couple of days, and now it seems that from here on there is a possibility that we might see some pullback or some bounce back from present levels. I think till the time 165 levels are not taken away, it's better to be on buy side. One can initiate long positions in Tata Motors at the current market price or on dips in prices till 170 should be used as buying opportunity for the upside target of 185 and then 190 levels in next couple of days.
All right, so that's Tata Motors for you, and Sumit does have a buy stance over there. Target of 185 to 190 is what he's watching out for. But here's another ET Now exclusive, and we on the channel told you the story first, and that is with respect to a promoter spat that may be underway in Indigo at the current point of time. Sources tell ET Now that differences have actually cropped up between two promoters, two founders actually, Rahul Bhatia and Rankesh Gangwal of Indigo Airlines. Let's go across to my colleague Nayantara Rai for more on that. Nayantara.
This is a mega ET night exclusive. The two gentlemen that came together to launch India's biggest airline, its most profitable airline with over a 40% market share, seem to have fallen out. They seem to have differences that they need to figure out through. In fact, so much so that they've gone to law firms. So the two gentlemen, the two promoter groups, which have pretty much an equal amount of equity in Indigo Airlines, running into turbulence. So you have Rahul Bhatia as well as Rakesh Gangwal, the two promoters, the two promoter groups that launched Indigo Airlines, falling out, with one camp, as the Rahul Bhatia camp, believing and being of the view that maybe the other promoter group is looking to wrest control, is taking more of an executive control at Indigo Airlines. The reason for that perhaps is also the slew of senior management appointees that have taken place in the recent past. Look no further than the new CEO, Ronojoy Banerjee, who has worked in the past with Rakesh Gangwal in the United States. Now, Rakesh Gangwal continues to reside in the United States. He's an old aviation veteran. He's the one who had brought his aviation expertise to Indigo. He ran United Airlines, he ran American Airlines, and it was around that time when he had met with Banerjee, the current CEO, who was incidentally heading United during the 9/11 crisis. But this is bad news that is coming in from an aviation perspective, which is going through such a rough weather, such a large turbulence. You have the two promoter groups of India's most successful airline falling out. I don't want to panic the markets over here. Yes, the promoters have differences that they're trying to iron out. They've hired two law firms. So I have been told that Rahul Bhatia has engaged JSA, whereas Rakesh Gangwal has hired Khaitan and Company.
All right, yes, that's the big ET Now exclusive. And remember, Nayandara, I told you right here first about the promoter spat of Indigo right here on ET Now. Kunal, you know, IndusInd Bank has been on a downward trend for some time now. Today as well, it's another 1% gone. What would you recommend viewers do with this stock?
So I think the last 4 weeks have been particularly quite damaging for the stock price from if I'm not wrong, from 1800, 1850 levels. It's below that 1400 mark, and at the 1400 or 1350 support is now a multi-month support for IndusInd Bank, and it's precariously close towards breaking those kind of levels. So the fact that the stock has gone through a very sharp kind of a sell-off, even if there's a minor rebound into the stock price, I think eventually this kind of a support could be breached. So one has to be a bit cautious on IndusInd Bank. I would advise a fresh short only below that 1320, 30 mark, which has been the previous support for the stock price.
Okay, that's IndusInd Bank, 1.1% gone. Sumit, one cannot help but talk about Sun Pharma. The volatility is back once again in the stock, and it dipped almost 7% on an intraday basis. You have a sell here?
I think till the time 410, 415 levels are not taken away on high side, it's better to be on sell side. A closing below 400 levels in Sun Pharma can take stock prices to 380 levels. So for a trading perspective, one can initiate sell positions in Sun Pharma at the current market price, with the stop loss to be placed at 450 on higher side for the downside target of 380 levels.
On Sun Pharma. Soumya, Manappuram Finance, how were the numbers?
Talking about the numbers, they were pretty much mixed. When it comes to profit, they reported good profit growth of over 43%, led by healthy NII growth of over 18% and reduced provisions. Provisions actually reduced 85% on a YOY basis and approximately 35% sequentially. But at the same time, what was disappointing was the AUM growth in the gold loan segment, which actually showed some amount of disappointment when it comes to Manappuram Finance. The stock today, in fact, opened in red but has recovered from the day's low and is up and trading in green, up about 0.3%.
Okay, so that of course is Manappuram Finance for you. Kunal, Suven Life Sciences is a stock you're flagging off. I think after very long we are noticing this stock being talked about. What is it that you're observing?
So Mubina, in the last 7-8 months, I think from start of 2019, the stock was at 190 levels, 185. It was going through a very sharp kind of a sell-off. You saw V-shaped recovery. Now in the last 2 months especially, the stock has been holding on to its 200-day moving average. The trends have stabilized. You don't see the stock going through a big round of selling pressure, and that's a clear reason why the stock has outperformed most of its other peers in the similar space. So I believe that's a very strong and a solid sign of a stock which is trying to ride through turbulent times. I think eventually the breakout should happen on the upside for Suven Life Science. I would suggest a buy on a positional basis for a target of almost 280 plus.
So Kunal is recommending a buy on Suven at 257 rupees. Soumya, of course, we're talking about the weakness seen in pharma names. Lupin, result reaction over there.
Well, yes. In fact, in terms of results, as far as Q4 earnings are concerned, they were broadly in line with the street estimates. But on back of this, Jefferies is maintaining an underperformed stance with a target price of 650 per share. In fact, they say that Q4 is a weak quarter despite higher exclusivity sales. US, although was strong, but the other geographies were a bit of a disappointment. Even Macquarie, it said that Lupin is still not out of the woods, and they're maintaining underperformed stance with a target price of 705 per share. They have lowered their EPS estimates for FY 20 and 21 by over 18 to 12%. Apart from this, another setback for the company, US FDA completed the inspection of Lupin's Aurangabad facility with 3 observations in Form 483, down by 2.8%.
Okay, let's talk about results then, and we have Bajaj Finance, whose numbers we're expecting today. Poonam Sani joins us with the ET Now poll. Poonam, ahead of the numbers, the stock price continues to go higher.
Absolutely. In fact, Mubina, within the entire NBFC space, this remains a topic because of the strong franchising that they have. In terms of the profitability, it's likely to be over 1,000 odd crore of profit growth on a standalone basis of nearly around 43%, led by a strong NII growth. But this quarter, what would be important to be watched out for is by how much has the AUM growth in fact declined just in terms of the quarterly trend. Having said that, some moderation is expected during this quarter, but overall the AUM growth is still likely to be anywhere between 32 to 38% in management commentary. In terms of how strong is the consumer finance demand as well as the trends in the SME book would be fairly important. Asset quality is likely to remain largely stable. Some amount of marginal pressure on the NIMs is likely, but overall a strong quarter is still likely from Bajaj Finance.
All right, well, let's move on to another result that we are watching out for, and that's of Hindalco. Sumit, here too, we are seeing some green on the screen ahead of the numbers. But what are your observations on the way the stock is, heading, in how the stock is heading ahead of its numbers?
See, in last 7 to 10 days time or rather, we have seen that Hindalco has given correction from higher levels. It is below 200 EMA levels, but looking at the chart, it seems that the stock has support at around 190 levels. We feel that from here on, there is a possibility that we might see a pullback or bounce back in the counter. I think for a trading perspective, one can initiate long positions in Hindalco at the current market price. Downside, one can maintain stop loss of around 185 levels. And on higher side, there is a possibility that in pullback, that in this pullback and bounce back, we can see levels of around 200 as the immediate target. And if 200 is taken away, then we can see extended move to 205 levels in next couple of days. So it's better to be on buy side in Hindalco at the current market price with a stop loss to be placed at 185.
Okay, that's Hindalco for you. Well, result reactions then, and take a look at Mahindra Holidays. It's among the big losers today in trade. The fourth quarter numbers have certainly not been great. We have a revenue decline of almost 20%, and margins have compressed significantly. So from 22%, it's just come down to single digits, 8.9%, and that is something that has led to a decline of 63% on the bottom line. Certainly disappointing numbers, and you are seeing a 2% fall come by in the stock price of Mahindra Holidays, though it has recuperated from the day's low. Soumya, more earning reactions then, and how were the numbers for Torrent Power?
Well, I think a little bit of disappointment coming in on the bottom line, which saw a degrowth of over 88% to nearly 24.8 crore rupees as far as revenues are concerned. So they were up by over 8%. Margins pretty much were stable at 24.3%. In fact, the board has approved raising of 1,500 crore of amount in terms through NCDs. The stock, however, reacting to the bottom line degrowth seen in Torrent Power.
Okay, 1.8% gone, a massive dip on the bottom line. Quick break right here on the show. Come right back for more movers and shakers. Okay, well, let's get back to the countdown of movers and shakers then, and we are flagging of PI Industries. The stock has rallied for the third straight day in a row, and now the stock is currently seeing gains of approximately 3% the last time I checked. And yes, that's where it's sustaining, 1,087 over there. Remember that Credit Suisse had initiated coverage on the stock yesterday, and they believe that the company will continue to outpace the global agrochem market. So the gains on this stock continue. So today, some liquor names are seeing pressure. United Breweries as well as United Spirits both are in the red. What would you recommend on a USL?
See, United Spirits looks like that it can give some correction from present levels. The stock has given a breakdown. It looks weak on charts. It has given a downfall in last couple of days. Now, from present levels, it's better to be on sell side. One can initiate sell positions at the current market price, or on rise in prices till 520, 521 should be used as selling opportunity, with the stop loss to be placed at 530 on higher side, and on downside one can expect targets of 500 in next 4 days time horizon.
Okay, so it's a sell on United Spirits. Kunal, what are you observing in Asian Paints today in trade?
Fourth straight week of price correction in Asian Paints, and the stock is now precariously close to its 7-month 8-month lows. It's breaking some key support levels, and the worry part when I look at the charts is not just the price fall, it's the fall in indicators, and those are structural indicators which was ruling the trend for the stock since last 8-10 years. So I think those kind of indicators are now getting challenged. I think if the stock witnesses any sort of further correction, it could result into a significant downtrend on a multi-year time frame as well. So this should be one stock which should be onto not just traders' radar but even positional players' radar.
Alright, so that's Asian Paints, 0.7% gone. Well, with that, we're out of time on this edition of the show, so thanks for watching. Sumit, thank you as well for joining in with your technical strategies. Kunal, to you. Coming up next is Markets at Noon.